I watched the first little bit of Jojo, started that, and
When you say the first little bit, do you mean the first 12 episodes or the
the
first bit of
first
the new 12
the first
episodes?
3 episodes of the new season, so part two.
Okay.
And yeah, I can confirm because I'm watching it with Punch Mom, so going through that, I can confirm that the binge drop is the least hype way to release a JoJo season ever. It is
I think
just a fucking bummer.
I think it's actually even way worse than that. Because I think the split binge drop is even worse than the binge drop. Like I
Mm.
am absolutely
Mm-hmm.
baffled at the way that this has occurred. I didn't even realize it was actually out yet
Yeah, so it's
until
out,
you
it's
just
up,
told me that.
and well, the thing is that like I assume they're kind of just like stocking up, week by week effort that would normally be a broadcast time, and then just dropping it when it's ready, and they don't want to wait for the entire thing to be done before they let anyone see that. So they're doing it half and half, and it's a really just bummer way to release things. Now, the quality of what they're putting out is not in question at all. It's still fucking awesome.
Well, yeah, but
Um,
it's the difference between David Productions and Netflix.
yes, and as a result, people don't know when it drops slash when it does drop. It's talked about for like a 2 second window, and then it's gone. And same thing happened when one came out. People kind of were excited for that initial thing, but and because it's not also like going week to week, you also don't have the ability to like have every episode be a discussion point, right? So like arcs start and end, and people just go, "Oh yeah, I like that thing," and then you just kind of, you don't get that journey alongside everybody that was the first 5 seasons essentially, or 4 seasons, I should say, since this is technically season 5. It is just a fucking blah. It's a unhype way to go, and I really hope they don't do this for anything else coming up. Um, the other thing I'll say is maybe this is just like I might just be reading too far into things, but I'm seeing some more liberal use of 3D in the show. Like the 3D from in JoJo, 3D in the intro is a given. Um, and then in the actual show, rarely there'll be like maybe a couple of things referentially, but you don't see much. And now there's a couple of things like nothing detailed or important that's a major thing, just like an inanimate object like a pen or a fan, and I totally am looking into those little things as training wheels. They're trying to get their foot in the door for 3D horses. I think this is how they test the waters,
I'm
because it's
I
such an
I don't
in
know,
when you
man.
see what they're doing, they're taking little moments and testing it out, and you know that they're labbing it off screen, but like putting into the show, it's not stuff that would like, for example, a fan spinning on the ceiling in 3D. If that thing is ugly, it's not going to ruin the shot or that episode at all.
It'll just be like, oh, I wonder why they did the fan in 3D.
But they easily could be doing that stuff in 2D. They're just choosing not to. So I think those are tests. I really think they're testing the waters.
Listen, you know what they just should do? They should just they should just have them be motorcycles.
Listen, because the problem, and this is a real threat, the threat that is Berserk 2016 is right over there,
It's
right?
right there.
it's it's in recent memory. If you said like, oh, Berserk 2006 or something, be like, oh god, whatever, we've gotten so much better since then, but we haven't. Berserk 2016 just happened, so that's such a recent, awful, horrible
Even
memory.
the Berserk 3D movies had lots of scenes with horses, and like they looked way worse than everything else in those films. Like way worse.
And it sucks because those movies also looked gorgeous.
They looked great, except for the part with the horsey.
So you have to be careful because something that looks beautiful can still have an element that is kind of ruined by bad 3D or badly planned 3D, I'll say. Because
Just make it
bad 3D,
motorcycles.
there's because like bad 3D is one thing, right? You could have poorly modeled, poorly rigged movement, but then like badly planned 3D is a much larger problem where it's just like the entire approach you went for was bound to fail here, you know? And when I think about like the horses that we're gonna need, we don't just need horses. We need Araki horses. Araki horses have muscles, and they have large, detailed, broad
Wheels?
form. you know, and you can just make a 3D horse that is effectively a motorcycle, where
Yeah.
it just has like a legs running animation that's kind of locked in, you know. No, there's a word that I was trying to remember that I'm forgetting. When you're referring to like the musculature of something, right? If you look at
Tendons, ligaments,
yeah, well, musculature, really.
fascia.
You're right. So
Okay, yeah.
when you learn to draw like the body details, things like that, if you go grab a copy of Bern Hogarth's Dynamic Anatomy, which is a really great book for teaching you how to draw anatomy, right? You see how like emphasizing the muscles and the lining and the tracing of the bumps underneath like a hand or like a forearm and all that stuff. It looks really cool when you exaggerate where those muscle lines would be and then just kind of drop some skin over it. So um, it's what you see in those fucking horses, and you guys will get there when you do fucking get. I don't want to, I'm not going to go too much into Steel Ball Run, but I'll say that there's horses in it, and the horses look really cool. So to do justice to those, you can't just make a fucking Lego horse in 3D and make it go. Brrr.
So, like,
you know.
are there parts of the story that you need the horse to be like a living creature, or could you just do a motorcycle? Like for real? Like, could you?
I mean, you're gonna get motorcycle, like you're gonna get a wheelchair, like it's
No,
gonna.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying because like if there's a part where like, oh no, they shot my horse, you could be like, oh no, they shot my ride and now its gas is leaking.
So someone just wrote backy horses, and that's correct, right?
Oh no. Oh
Grappler backy
no.
horses. Imagine that, if you would. So, yeah, it's it's a cool thing that I'm looking forward to, but it can go wrong in a lot of ways, and it's gonna need to look better than the 3D horses that were made for like the fighting game, for example, All Star Battle and Eyes of Heaven. It's gonna need to be better than that. It's gonna need to look really cool. We'll see, man.
I'm not. I am real skeptical because like every time I mean I'm not a drawer, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
draw things. I'm bad at it. But every time I'm speaking to anyone who is a drawer and I go, "What's up with horses?" They just start swearing at me
Mm-hmm.
and getting like pissed off
Mm-hmm.
because nobody likes to draw horses except for a horse girl.
Um, Araki clearly did. I mean, for this part, he definitely like threw himself into, you know, fucking horse anatomy and went really hard on it. Now I'm looking at some panels from it as well. Like I'm currently looking at them, and I'm seeing like some examples of how like um, when you see like the amount of muscles and the things and the details and whatnot. Like I guess I guess you can do that in a way that kind of ignores that stuff in motion. When you look at it as a manga panel, you see like a bunch of, let's say, just like make it vague or whatever, zoom out, you see a horse, you see the neck, you see its legs, and you see a bunch of bumps, and it's like, oh, that's a panel of a horse rearing up, right? If you're gonna animate that and do a good job of it, you're gonna like have those bumps like do the right things in the right way when it starts to rear and move and stuff. So anyway, we'll see what they do. It's probably the biggest problem they've had to solve, and I'm sure they've been thinking about it since at least 5 or 6 years ago of how to approach this, you know?
Oh no, we're doing this, huh? We're gonna have to do the horsies too. Oh man, I don't want to draw a horsey.
But I think we're seeing the test in these episodes. Anyway, that aside, boy, am I still super duper down with my favorite stand, which is Survivor in part 6 here, which is one of the first ones of part 2. Not part 2, right. The second drop of episodes they touch on, they get to Survivor.
Isn't this wonderfully easy to talk about? Isn't this incredibly clear?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it's so hype. It's so fun. I love it. And like seeing it in action, it's, you know, like it's doing it justice. It's exactly what I wanted conveyed, which is just, what if a tournament was a stand? What if Evo was a stand? You know? And everybody was ready to money match, and everyone was popping off like, let's fucking go! Everyone just got out of pools and made it to top 64, you know, or top 28 or whatever, you know? Everyone just made it to top 16, and they're super hyped for it. What if that was a stand? Man, it was so good. So I'm glad at how that was done, and I also feel like I'm extra down with the fact that it is described in the show as the weakest, most worthless, useless fucking stand.
Oh, that's my favorite!
It's the best.
Those are my favorite!
It is described as complete trash tier. And when you see the breakdown on the commercial of like its stats, it's just all E's across the board.
Oh my goodness.
With like a C in range, I think. It's so fucking low tier garbage, but it's the best, man. Yeah, that's what if you happen to watch it, that is my favorite in the entire fucking franchise, like free. So, the breakneck pace is still jarring, but I suppose it's better than being too slow and too filler oriented. Yeah. But I just kind of remember moments that felt like they built up and then like were dramatic on conclusion. And for example, like there's stuff about like part 5 where there was chases and fights that kind of lasted a while, and then the conclusion would be like a big moment. And here, for example, Limp Bizkit, you know, is introduced and dealt with in the span of fucking, you know, whatever, 20 minutes practically, you know? Yeah. And I'm just like, when I was reading that moment by moment, it felt longer in my head, you know? But anyway, yeah, give it a watch, and then, you know, there'll be more to talk about. But I'm also really bummed out that there's no new intro as well. That fucking sucks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's like extra bummer this time around because the intro for the first 12 episodes has all the events of those 12 episodes in the intro. It's awesome. Yeah. And now you're getting those outdated events unupdated as we go into this second sequence. And it's like, god damn it, man. You know, every time that the arc changed in Diamond is Unbreakable, we got a new awesome intro to make up for the change of the pace. Yeah. And each of them was directly relevant to the stands we'd be seeing and the events of the plot unfolding in that arc.
We kind of got 5.
I mean, modifications, you know, modifications are always a part of it. But when you have, like, all these really awesomely, smartly integrated moments, you know, for like the first 12, you see like, oh, there's like the CD, there's the tires, there's that room. You recognize some of the details and some of the people in the background and all the things coming together in a very JoJo-esque way. But now we're going into another 12 episodes that have nothing to do with all those things. So it kind of turns it into a generic intro as opposed to one that's like thematically playing with what those episodes are about. They might have just not had the time or the cash or the music, really, but it's a bummer. It's a bummer.
It's because they're spending all the money putting them into 3D horsies. Could that be where it's going?
I'm
No.
I thought they were gonna break the show into three, but maybe I'm guessing they're gonna break it into two, and there is a point where if they don't change the intro, they're fucking up, right?
Isn't
Which is essentially the next drop of episodes. If the next
isn't Steel Ball Run insanely long?
So it feels that way to me, but I've been you know what? I've been wrong about
Stop that.
because I thought that like this I thought 6 was long, and it turns out it's not as long as I remembered. So, but like Steel Ball Run it is very long. The thing is like
So
in terms of
we
like
better get more interest for that then.
yeah, I don't imagine you can cram it into fucking 36 episodes and do the type of thing you've been doing with recent parts. It's so fucking insanely big, but I remember 6 being a big long journey too, and I'm surprised at how compressed we're getting it. So that being said, yeah, I'm guessing part 3 is going to have a new intro then, because again, thematically, there's so much different that changes at that point that it would be ridiculous to still just keep the same one. But yeah, more as I get through the season. But beyond that, I mean, you know, they have it down to a science as far as adaptation goes. Like they're just keeping it faithful and fast, and it's fucking great.
Adaptation down to a science is weird to say, considering, like, hey, how are they adapting it? What's the new trick? Well, they're taking what's on the panel and then they're going to put it on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, but, you know, as we can see, like, that has led to many problems in the past, because the act of doing that requires convincing a whole lot of people that, like, not fucking with what's on the page is a good idea. So...
But what if we fucked with it?
Well, yeah.
What if Jotaro was a train? I would watch that. I would watch that in a second.
It just... Sometimes it's about not having the ending planned out, and you got to do the best you can with what you have, like Full Metal Alchemist Original. Other times, it's just, thanks for the source material, fuck off, creator. You know, and you go a completely different direction with it. But yeah, and I know, you know what?
What if Guts was a South Park character?
There will be more to talk about when we get to the news on that in a second, actually.